Welcome to Shelterhouse Shares, our online version of our monthly newsletter through MCTV. Before we get started today, I wanted to remind you that if you want to learn a little bit more about Shelterhouse, we've taped several of these shows, and you can go to our website, shelterhousemidland.org, at any time and find out a wealth of information from what we do for clients and with clients to a mini tour of the house. A lot of things, a lot of information are there available at your fingertips. But today we're going to talk about volunteering. And I have with me three wonderful women. And our first guest is Mitzi Brown, and she's going to tell a little bit about herself.
Hi, I'm Mitzi. I've been with Shelterhouse just for a few months as a volunteer coordinator. It's a thriving, growing program. There's lots of opportunity out there. I'm very excited. I've met some fantastic people since I've started.
And then we have two wonderful, dedicated volunteers with us today. One is Carol Meyer.
Hey.
And Diane Stone.
Hello.
Well, let's start first by asking Mitzi a question. Mitzi, what excites you about your position at volunteer coordinator at Shelterhouse?
I love meeting people, and it's forever changing. There's always new people coming in, and there's so many things to do. And people are so gracious with their time, and it's heartwarming for me to share what we have, and then they share of themselves.
Oh, good. I know that when I hired you, you have a wealth of experience in doing volunteer coordination and coming to in nonprofit world and through some schools and different things. So we're very happy to have you join our team. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And so the next question is for both of you. And so Diane, you can start first. How did you hear about Shelterhouse?
Well, actually, I heard about it through you. You happened to be my sister-in-law, and I was staying at your home until I got an apartment, and you said, well, because I'm retired now, you can always volunteer at the Shelterhouse. And I'm going, oh boy.
I remember that.
Yeah, okay, whatever. And I came in for an interview, and bingo, Carol was there, and it was like, I'm hooked already. So
Carol, how did you hear about Shelterhouse?
Actually, just through the community. Word of mouth. I'm retired, and I had some time on my hands to give to the community, so I chose Shelterhouse because it's something I believe in. And I'm proud to work for a place that promotes nonviolence.
One of the things I've found since coming to Shelterhouse is the reasons people find Shelterhouse are as individual as each person. Everyone has a different story to tell. So Diane, you already said when you came for your interview, you discovered Carol. What was the interview process like? Was it hard? Was it grilling? Was it scary?
no, it wasn't scary. I didn't know exactly what to expect, but I knew I was going to be in the maintenance portion of it, but I didn't know exactly what that was going to entail. And growing up with 5 brothers, I thought I could probably handle it.
Okay. Mitzi, I'm going to ask you a question to follow up with that. People sign up a lot of different ways and come in for an interview, and is that pretty typical that they don't know what they're exactly wanted to do when they come in?
Yes, it is. It is. They sign up for some things or all things, and then we just kind of break it down a little bit on the interview. I take them on a tour of the house. They meet a lot of the staff. It's, and they're open to more sometimes if they sign up for one thing going, oh, I didn't know I could do this or I could do that. So it is. It's, They always sign up and want to do extra.
So how does volunteering make a difference at Shelterhouse?
Well, without it, we couldn't keep our doors open, that's for sure. We count on our volunteers. We're a nonprofit, and they put in quite a few hours for us, and they maintain so our doors can be open so we can help.
How many different ways are there of volunteering?
There's a list and list and list. There's a plethora of ways, as they say. There's things from clerical that you can do at the office. We have front desk opportunities. We have Girls on the Run, which is a great program. We had painters in this past weekend who wanted to paint, so they helped paint an office. There's filing. There's a huge list. It just goes on. And I have a theory. If you want to volunteer, I am open to new ideas. So if you have an idea that would work, we'll do it. you know, so.
Yeah, I know that you have some numbers. So how many hours?
I just got the copy, and we've had 60 hours since January 1st. 60 hours a week is put in by volunteers.
And that's in the wintertime.
That's in the winter. That's just from January till March 31st.
And our plan for the summer is lawn care, planting
yes.
the flower gardens, doing all of the outside things too. So that'll increase
Yes.
exponentially. I know a year ago when we did strategic planning, at that time about 25% of our work was done by volunteers. And we need to increase that because with our government funding decreasing and all the things that are happening, we can't afford to continue to hire people. For example, our nights of shelter went up 41% over the last 2 years, and our crisis calls went up 52%. Well, with that increase in service and that demand, we don't have any new funding in order to hire people to help with all of the things that are going on. So that's another opportunity for people who have that skill set. I know we just have somebody come in. We have our intake coordinators off for a couple weeks, and so we have a volunteer coming in and doing intake for us who is a retired counselor.
Yes. Yes.
So all kinds of creative ways to make it happen. So Diane, what do you do at Shelterhouse?
I take care of a checklist. I go through the house and the offices and check on things, you know, lights out or the freezer temps, just to make sure everything's in working order and stuff like that. It's kind of a safety.
Is that a weekly thing?
That is a weekly thing. Check the fire extinguishers. I'm in charge of the food room
Ah,
and kind of sort of the soap room, but I put everything in order and keep it there.
I know that you've made a big difference since you've started doing the food room. It now looks like a grocery store shelf where you can go and you can actually find corn is on not just here and here and here and here all throughout the room. It's all in one place in order by date, and it's absolutely fabulous, the organization that you've brought to that part of our business. So
Thank you.
I really appreciate it, and I know all the rest of the staff does too. Carol, what do you do at Shelterhouse?
I organize donations. Downstairs is a large area that's called the green room. I'm not sure why it's called the green room, but it is.
I think because they had a green door at one point.
Oh, okay, that makes
Green
sense.
floor.
Yeah. We get donations in from local businesses and individuals, churches, school groups, you name it, could come from everywhere. And we organize that downstairs in this green room. Actually, Diane also helps with that. So that you can walk in there, and if you need, say, diapers, they're right there. They're all in order by size. It's very organized. There's toys, household goods, blankets, lots of blankets, just about anything anybody would need. So I'm in charge of that pretty much with Diane's help. And once a week I sit at the front desk. And that's, I think I had spent about a year down in the green room, and it is in the basement. It's dark and it's cold. So I
Indiana.
started watching around what else could I be doing that gets me more out with the people, the staff. And so once a week I sit at the front desk, and I love that. It's,
Well, your history, because you're retired from Dow Chemical,
Yes.
and you did office work there, so it kind of probably feels really good to be able to use those skills again.
It does. I was feeling like I'm going numb because I'm not doing what I really love to do. So this has helped.
And
a
you've
lot.
done a great job for us.
Thank
I know
you.
that we get a lot of compliments on your warm and friendly smile, so that
thank
makes a
you.
big difference to people.
I like that I've been able to get to know the staff a little bit better because
Yeah.
they're in there and they're coming and going, and it's fun.
And it gives you an opportunity to serve two ways. You can be down in the green room and come in your blue jean and t-shirts or whatever, and then if you want to get dressed up and come and work the front desk, you can
Yeah.
wear a professional dress too. So it's very different volunteer opportunities.
Yes.
So it's as individual as you are, using all kinds of skill sets. So
I really enjoy it.
yeah.
These two were the first two volunteers I met
Yeah?
when I came. And great way to break in. You guys are there. Yeah, you're worth your weight in gold. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
The dynamics between the two of you go way back. I know that
Way
was
back.
one of the things that you mentioned, that when you came for your interview, Carol's here. How has that changed your, I know you had a relationship for a long time, but you reconnected. I remember that.
Well, we met in the early 80s, I'd say. My husband at the time played softball, and we, the sponsor was a business that Diane and her husband owned. And so we spent a lot of time with Diane, and I got to know her very well. And then time went on. Nothing changed, nothing happened between us, but just life took us in different directions. And then I started volunteering at Shelterhouse, and then Janine came in, and I knew that Diane was an Outer Kirk, so I knew there was a connection there. And it wasn't long before you approached me and asked if I was Diane's friend from way back. And so she started volunteering, and it's kind of like we picked up where we left off.
So you rekindled your friendship.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know from having conversations with Diane how much she values that.
I
So
do too.
that's another benefit. You never know who you're going to run into, you know, when you
Exactly.
do volunteering. Excuse me. One of the things that I know that volunteering changes lives. Not only for the people that you're serving, but for yourself. And I think that that's a big, I always think when I do volunteer work that I'm really kind of feel selfish sometimes because I always feel like I get more than I'm giving. And I know that people who've never volunteered don't understand that.
Yeah.
Mitzi, can you talk about a little bit what you've learned over the years about that?
Well, my mom and dad raised us to always give back. It was just part of it. You know, you give what you get. You get what you give. That was it. Reverse that. So we were kind of forced into it little, and then as we grew up, it just became a way of life. And I know, I feel the same sometimes. It's like, oh, I'm having so much fun doing this, and it's like, I think people think volunteering should be grueling or you should maybe dread it, but it's not. It's supposed to be life-giving to yourself.
It's not a punishment.
No, it's self-care. It's a good feeling. You should feel fabulous when you volunteer, and you should feel like you're doing a great job and you're needed and people are grateful, because that's what volunteering is give back and be happy to give it. You know, so it's,
Yeah. So what kind of skill set? We've talked, Carol has two different skill sets she's using. Diane has organizational skills and does her maintenance checklist and all that. So a lot of different skills there. What other skills are necessary to volunteer?
Well, there's very different levels of volunteering, like we were just talking with clerical and organizational and yard work, which is a rake or a broom is simplest. We have like childcare or running a program with the girls in the house to do arts and crafts with the children, which could be coloring in a coloring book or reading a story. So there's not a set of skills. It's, I guess, the only is to give from your heart. It's just, that would be the only skill you really need.
We have two different opportunities that are totally dependent, not totally, but huge dependent. Girls on the Run has to have a lot of volunteers. Coaches, we just couldn't do the program, and it makes a difference in young girls' lives. Can you talk a little bit about the other one, which is the resale shop?
I've been spending some time there with Shelley, who's our store manager, and volunteers are needed a lot. So if you're watching this, call me, sign up. It's a great opportunity. We're recruiting heavily right now with cashiers and stuff. It's a beautiful shop. They sort, they fill the racks, and they update merchandise. They tag merchandise. It's fun there because it's like this big family environment to where everybody's working together, very friendly. It is. It's a good place to volunteer. It's fun.
Yeah. I know that one of the things, whether it's an employee or volunteer, whoever that I'm speaking to, and they're there for the first time, I'll say, welcome to the Shelterhouse family. Because it really is a feeling of being cared about and part of that caring network. So it's really a very cool thing. The resale shop is over in the Kmart Plaza.
Yes.
And if you wanted to stop by and check it out, you could just stop in, and the public's welcome to walk in the store and see what it's all about, because it's a very unique shop, and it's beautiful, and like Mitzi said, it's very fun to be there. So